Greetings, students. Welcome back to another tutorial. This one's going to be on using Photoshop and also using maybe Google image search to find an image that we can use for a Photoshop project. So let's get started. What you're going to want to do is find Photoshop. It's probably not in your dock yet. We'll talk about how to save it there, but you'd probably go to your Finder. Probably want to go to your application folder if you see on the left hand side applications, and remember this one's called Adobe Photoshop, so it's going to be under the A's and it's right here. Now I'm going to switch it from the list view to a column view, because when you do that you will notice that Photoshop isn't just an isolated app all by itself or application. It also comes with a lot of different additional files, so you'll want to click on it one more time and then double click on this. Now mine will open up a lot faster than yours because I had it open. Yours will probably take almost a minute to open because it's quite an extensive application. It has a lot of different directions to it, so the longer and the larger it is, the more it's going to take. Now, I also have this open. This is our vocabulary list, and I'm going to be pointing out these words throughout the lesson today, so I'll be referring to this so that it kind of hits home as far as why I'm wanting you to learn those words. So, here we go. First word is canvas, and we're going to kick it right off right away. With canvas, because that's what you have to set. They don't call it when you say in Photoshop you need to create a new project, and that's what you're going to do first. File, new. The first thing that's going to pop up is, we're just going to call this one practice. So I'm going to have you, you can go ahead and call yours practice too. And the first thing we're going to do is we have to set this size. So you could set it just generically and say I want it by 8.5 by 11, the size of a piece of paper that you might print out from a printer. But we're going to do something a little bit different. We're actually going to use the actual size of a picture that we find from the internet. And so we're going to switch gears here. I'm going to leave this alone, and I'm going to go to Google Chrome, and I'm going to do a Google search. So if you're using Google Chrome as your browser, you can just simply type in, and what I'd like you to do is type in something having to do with spring, since we're still waiting for it to happen. So type in something having to do with spring, maybe a bird that you like seeing, maybe maybe a tree with buds and blooms and blossoms and things like that, maybe tulips, maybe Easter, but we're going to do that. I've already done it. I put in maple trees. So I put in tapping maple trees as the graphic I want, and you'll notice when you hover your cursor over the top of the images that these numbers pop up. Those are the resolution size of the numbers, and right now if we use these for Photoshop, especially these two right here, it's not going to turn out very good because it's a very, very small picture. If I click on it and go to view image, you'll see exactly how big the image is, and that's it. And so if we go any larger than this, it's going to pixelate. It's going to start to stretch out, or not stretch out, it's going to start to show the individual boxes that make up the image. So we don't want to use that. So why not take advantage of Google's ability, so we're going to close this up, to refine our search. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the gearbox, settings, and we're going to say advanced search. And we're going to put our topic in here. So whatever your spring topic is, that's appropriate. And instead of any size, narrow your results by any size. That's where you say, no, no, no. We want large pictures, and we're going to go the largest that we can. So we're going to say larger than 1024 by 768. If you're wondering, that's the size of my laptop screen. And so that's as large as we can go here, and you'll have to scroll down a little bit, I imagine, and then say advanced search. Now you'll notice I get a different set of pictures. Not all the same pictures come up, because now when you hover over the top, you're going to see that every one of these is a high-res picture. Okay, just for the purpose of this assignment, I'm going to choose this one, 1600 by 1200. You're going to click on it. Don't use that one. That's just a thumbnail. Then you're going to click on View Image. Okay, and so now that's the one we're going to use. So I'm going to take that, and I am going to drag it and drop it to my desktop in that form. So just go ahead and drag, drop to your desktop. Okay. So remember that I'm going to go back one step. Actually, it's right up here in the heading up here. It's from a blogger blog. 1600 by 1200. That's what we're going to put. So we go back to Photoshop, and we're going to switch. Very important. Switch from inches to pixels. Inches to pixels. Width 1600 and height 1200. And don't make any other changes. We don't have to change anything else. Hit OK. And now we are setting our canvas size, even though it doesn't say canvas. How do I know it's a canvas? Because if we wanted to change it now that we have it set, We can go to image and we can say canvas size, and that would allow us to change it if we decide to go with a different picture with a different set of dimensions. Okay, so that is your canvas. I call this inbounds, this out of bounds. That's really nice. So how do you get that in? Remember, another word, and I closed up my my list and I just wanted to hide it, so I'm going to say File, Open, New, Recent, and here's my list. Another word is, so we talked about pixels and pixelated, but place. The word place, let me just minimize it this time. The word place, how are you going to get that picture in? It's now on your desktop. You want to get it exactly in here. So you say File, Place. And there's, now it's lit up. It's not gray anymore. You say Place, and it's going to put it in. I'm sorry, you choose it. Now, if you are under the icon view, you're going to have to look for it. But if you're under the list view, and if you happen to have the date modified selected right here, it's going to bring whatever you put on your desktop right to the top. And that I like to work under that system. That way, if I just do it, it's right there. I know where it is. So I'm going to say place, and here it comes. Now, luckily for me, it popped right in. But I'm going to do something for those of you who, when you place it, if yours comes in and it's smaller than the actual canvas, I have some important instructions for you. It's not a bad thing. It just does that once in a while. I don't know why. But what you'll want to do is you will want to make sure that you hold your shift key down like you're making a capital letter. Hold your shift key down as you grab a corner, and that will allow you to make it bigger. And if you want it to match it up to the corners, but don't forget to hold the shift key down, because if you don't, it's going to do this. If you don't hold the shift key down, you will have the opportunity to distort your picture, and we don't want to do that. So I'm going to edit undo and put it back, and now I'm going to hold the shift key down and drag it and make it bigger. Now the nice thing about Photoshop is if you wanted to zoom in a little bit closer, you could do that, and whatever is out of bounds, when you double click to make the X go away, is going to cut it off. So it's a quick and easy way of cropping. So if I want to zoom in a little bit more, and in fact I want to slide this over so that we have Made in Canada off to the side a little bit. Now I'm going to double click, and the X goes away, and whatever is outside, out of bounds, goes away. Okay, so that's the word place, using it the way the way Photoshop uses it. Okay, so we now have a canvas size, and we have a picture placed in Photoshop. Let me take a look at my list here. The move tool, we're going to talk about that in a minute. I do want to go back to the internet though. The last word is watermark, and I want to talk a little bit about that. And I don't know if it went away. I did see that one of these graphics had a watermark on it. I just don't know whether it was smaller or not, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to find it. But I'm going to take a quick peek and see if we can find one of these graphics that has a watermark on it. I don't see it yet. It may have been a smaller resolution picture, and then it may have not shown back up after I reset the size. But anyway, if you see, well, let me just go back. Let me take those off. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to say any size, and then that way I'll be able to show you. The watermark picture was on the left-hand side of the screen, and it was right here. This one's by Shutterstock. They are a company that sells pictures, so if you really want it, you would contact them and say, how much would it cost to buy this picture, because I want to use it for a project that is non-school related, that perhaps I might be able to make money off from. And so that is legal to do that. Then you purchase it from them, and then you get to use it. So, but you don't want to use these even for your prezzies. You want to avoid anything that has either writing or a symbol over the top, indicating that it's a kind of you have to pay for that picture. Okay, let's go back to Photoshop, and we're going to just quickly talk about how do you write on it. Remember, we have the Move tool. Remember, and I kept saying that Move tool is very important. If in order to kind of finish it off and wrap it up and be able to do something, you have to click on the Move tool to do that. Now, for writing on, there's a T over here, and I bet many of you realize that you might not know what all these tools do, but you probably recognize that T as a text box creating tool. And so you want to click on it, and my rule of thumb is always make your text box plenty big. Make it big enough because one thing that Photoshop does is it remembers the last size that you wrote. Now, I haven't done Photoshop in a while, so I don't recall what the last size was. So I'm just going to type tapping. It's really small. Trees in spring. It's so small that I can't even tell what I'm doing. So here's what I'm going to do. Notice our layers over here. That's another one of your vocabulary words. The layers are starting to show up. You want your picture above your background, and you want then a written layer, a layer with text on top of that. Now, how can we make it so that we can see it? Well, if you click in your layer, notice it changes from layer 1 to what you're typing. I got lucky and I typed it right. If you double click in the T, what it does is it causes your text box to go dotted lines, and then this symbol right here, this is really cool. If you go on the letters that represent, or I should say on the symbols that represent what you're doing, you can do everything from making it larger, you click and drag to the right, now you can see it, to spreading the individual letters out. I believe that's this one right here. If you say, you know what, I don't want to make it any larger, but I want to spread those letters out because I think they're kind of crunched. To changing the font, and I would recommend changing the font because the Myriad Pro is just the default font. So let's try Playbill, make it look like it's from the Wild Wild West. And how about if, let's make it a little bit larger now. How about just tall? I just want the letters to be taller. I don't want to get any wider. Let's say I'm limited with my width, but I could make it a little bit taller. You can do that. And this is really cool. If I want to make a color, I can just choose a color palette. Any of these colors here would work. Notice that when I'm tapping on it, it replaces it. But the other cool thing is this. When you go off from this pop-up window, your tool, your cursor turns into an eyedropper. And if you click on something at the bottom of the eyedropper, it's going to turn it to that color. So if I want to make it match kind of the moss or algae or whatever it is on the outside of the tree, you click on it and it will match that color. So you can kind of click around and see. Now obviously some of these colors blend in and wouldn't be good choices, but you can see how that happens, and depending on your picture you may want to do that. I'm going to go back to a bright red, and we're going to use it that way because we need to be able to see it, and I'm going to say OK. Now you'll notice, oh, now it's green because I'm still, now if I go to the move tool, remember that move tool is important. Click on that move tool, it turns back red. Now you'll notice I did make a mistake. I put a J here, and so I need to go back and fix that. Now here's what a lot of you are going to do. You're going to want to get into that text box by clicking right there. It doesn't work. Photoshop won't let you do that. You need to go back to your layer where you've done the writing, and you need to double click in the T. Okay, that will bring it up in a highlighted form. Now you can click in here and you can back up. Now that's very important. It's going to take some practice. That's why you're in this class. That's why you'll be learning. So that's what I want you to do today. Now you might think this isn't very much, but we are going to do some cool things. We're going to make this a lot more fancy. We're going to relocate it. We are even going to maybe even bend that writing so that it kind of fits the picture. So we'll do that. That's going to be our next lesson. But for today, this is as much